Hey, what's up? It's Brian here. And this is a lyrics analysis and song reaction to the song by Lupe Fiasco called Words I Never Said, featuring Skylar Grey. So similar to my last video on all the above, I'm really going to go into the meaning behind the words in the song. And it's not really the typical song reaction video to the beat of the song or how it sounds. So a lot of deep stuff in this song, and I really like this song. So let's get into it. A little instrumental in the beginning here. Okay, cool. So obviously that's pretty much the main point of the song, that you can't take back the words that you never said. And sometimes people talk about regrets and like, you don't want to regret something you did in the past or something you said in the past or something you tweeted 10 years ago, stuff like that. But I think if we're being honest, the ultimate regret is not doing something, is not saying something that was in alignment with your truth, not being your authentic self. You know, so me personally, I take all that stuff to heart. That's why a lot of my content, I really speak from the heart. I speak my truth and what I believe to be the truth is. And sometimes it's controversial if it's not maybe commonplace in society. Maybe people don't really say what's on the forefront of their mind all the time. So that's why it might seem a little bit off to some people who aren't in tune with their own authentic thoughts maybe. But I think that's really important. Just when you get older, you don't want to have all these thoughts in your head, all these words that you never actually spoke out because of fear, pretty much. So I think that's a really powerful main message of the video. And I really recommend checking out the music video of this too, because there's a lot of neat symbolism in there. Like the beginning scene, Lupe Fiasco walks into a bus and everyone is wearing masks over their mouth. And not because of COVID, because of course this was in 2011, but because it's kind of the symbolism of so many people have a filter on what they say and they don't really speak out on certain things because they're always conscious of how someone else is going to perceive it, right? But I really want to encourage anyone watching, if you have positive intentions and you're saying something or saying an opinion that you believe is the truth, that you believe should be said for positive impact for the world, then please say it, because we need more people doing that for sure. So let's get back to it. Nice beat.
Bunch of bull, just a poor excuse for you to use up all your bullets. How much money does it take to really make a full clip? 9/11 building 7, did they really pull it? And a bunch of other cover-ups. Your child's future was the first to go with budget cuts. If you think that hurts, then wait, here comes the uppercut. The school was garbage in the first place, that's on the up and up. Keep you at the bottom, but teach you with the upper crust. You get it, then they move it, so you never keeping up enough. If you turn on TV, all you see is a bunch of what the do this dating so-and-so, blabbering about such and such, and that ain't Jersey Shore. Oh me, that's the news, and these the same people supposed to be telling us the truth. Limo is a racist, Glenn Beck is a racist, Gaza Strip was getting wrong, Obama didn't say. That's why I ain't vote for next one either. I'm a part of the problem, my problem is I'm peaceful, and I believe in the people. Yeah.
So Lupe Fiasco is really speaking his mind in this portion, and I really respect it. And I don't agree with everything that he says, and some things he talks about, I don't even have enough background on the subject to have an informed opinion. But I really respect anyone who is honest with their thoughts, who doesn't have a facade or mask over themselves, who has good intentions and is not directly trying to harm someone. And I think we all need to take that idea to heart. That difference of ideas is okay, especially if we're all coming from a positive place. And he uses a lot of direct language in this portion too. And I want to know too, I think a lot of people, when they just hear any song nowadays, I think so many people are desensitized to hear crappy music that they just expect every song to just be fluff and be meaningless, right? So that's why you have to be really in tune with the lyrics of a song, because some music like this, like he's saying stuff that he's trying to make a positive impact with it. And I respect that. Even though you might disagree with one sentence, two sentences, three sentences here or there, he's trying. No one is going to 100% fully agree on everything. But he's coming from a positive place. I mean, he's saying things like, the problem is he's peaceful. He's getting on Obama for not saying anything when a foreign country got bombed. So he's advocating for peace throughout this song. And if you're not in tune with the lyrics, not paying attention to it, you might miss that. So that's really interesting that he's really advocating for peace in the song. And he actually says that he's a problem because he's peaceful, which is interesting too. Another line that he says, keep you at the bottom but tease you with the upper crust. So I see where he's coming from right there. And of course, it's very hard to elaborate in a song on subjects like these, but I'm curious if he talked about this statement more in interviews or that sort of thing. I'm going to look that up. Another line, school was garbage in the first place. And then he talks about, they defunded him, but it was like that in the first place. So I'll say to this, it's cliche to get on the education system, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Some cliches are true. That's kind of why they're cliches. So I worked in a charter school. I worked in a public school too. And disciplinary strategies are so outdated in general. Like the charter school I was at was pretty advanced. So I think a lot of people, they can learn how to communicate with teenagers and children way better than they do, honestly, in the public school system. Creativity is lacking across the board. Sometimes teachers don't have the freedom to think outside the box. So yeah, a lot of diversification is just needed in the education system. And I think it's a sign of the times too that, especially right now, I'm not really seeing many people focus on the children. I'm really not. And if you turn on the news, everyone's just talking about what they can get. No one's really talking about how students are being impacted by the pandemic. Or if they're talking about it in a very shallow way. And there's no real plan to make up for the lack of social skills being developed in the past year, as one example. So the news too, he mentions like news is just tabloid pretty much, and he infers that through some of the lyrics. So this was applicable 10 years ago in 2011. Think about it right now. It's even worse. So the media, they have so many sensationalized headlines right now. All they want to do is make money for the most part, mainstream media. They want ratings, they want clicks, all that stuff, especially with newspapers being outdated. So they'll really put a misconstrued quote in a headline or anything just to get some clicks. So a lot of misguided stuff out there. And I talk a lot about the news in two skits I did on my See Humor channel that I'll link in the description too. One was on a positive news channel. So if you're watching this and like, well, Brian, so what's the solution to the news? Like, aren't they just reporting what's going on? It's like, look, watch that video on positive news where I put up a 10-minute segment of me acting in a hypothetical news station all about how I perceive the news to be, which is like sharing what's going on, but share it in an empowering way, all about solution-based. So I think that's what he's getting at the songs, that you turn on the news, it looks like a reality show right now. And look, I don't know how to fix it because there's so much money in it, there's so much power in it, and they don't really seem too concerned with the children and how people are being impacted by it. But I hope people at some point recognize that and turn it around. And also, in the music video, again, like I said, a lot of neat symbolism. So he's on a bus in the song, and he's actually saying a lot of these lyrics, just screaming them in the back of the bus. And what's neat is a couple people on the bus, they're so wrapped up on their phone, they're looking down at their phone as he's screaming in the back of the bus. So I think the message there is that so many people lack mindfulness right now. And I would say that is a major pandemic going on. And with so many children right now just addicted to phones, addicted to technology, and just believing anything they hear on the news, I think a lack of mindfulness and self-awareness with yourself, awareness of your surroundings, that might only get worse over time. So I do hope we turn that around. But anyway, let's get back to the lyrics.
And you are not a Muslim. Israel, don't take my side, cause look at how you pushed them. Walk with me into the ghetto. This what all the when complain about the liquor store. But what you drinking liquor for? Complain about the gloom, but when you pick a room up, just listen in the pot. Ain't gon' make it stop. A rebel in your thoughts ain't gon' make it out. If you don't become an actor, you'll never be a factor. Pills with million side effects. Take them when the pain's felt. Wash them down with diet soda, killing off your brain cells. Crooked banks around the world, we're glad to give a loan today. So if you ever miss a payment, they can take you home.
So one line I like from this last portion is, now we can say it ain't our fault if we never heard it, but if we know better, then we probably deserve it. So this is so relevant right now, I believe, because the real issue is people seeing what's going on in regards to a particular issue maybe, and maybe being asked about it, having the opportunity to present their opinion on it, but then they don't present their opinion and they back down and they're a coward pretty much. So I think a lot of people are like that. And I'm not saying you need to be an activist for every single issue, but again, if the opportunity presents itself, make your language match your mindset, match the actions in your life. So if something bad is going on and you're asked about it, maybe something violent, something regarding sexism, something regarding any subject, share your honest perspective on it. Don't act like it's no big deal if someone asks you about it at a party, for example. You have to stand up for yourself. If something is wrong in society, please call it out. And another thing that he said is, some people complain about the liquor store, but what are you drinking liquor for? Then he says, complain about the gloom, but when do you pick up a broom? So this is tied to, if your situation is effed up, focus on what you can control. Do not contribute to the situation becoming worse. Right? So this is tied to, there's always ways to give yourself power. So of course, one individual, say where I live in Philadelphia, I don't have power to clean up the whole entire streets. You know, I can't control someone else throwing trash on the ground. What I can control is me not throwing trash on the ground, right? So you have to empower yourself to do something about whatever issue that you're passionate about, even if it's the power that's this small, right? Because small steps of power eventually lead to a lot of stuff getting done and a lot of stuff changing. And this was my huge pushback to my video 2 videos ago, where I called out some misguided rappers such as Simex Santana that glorify violence. He literally tells someone in the song like that he tells someone to shoot up someone, right? So like he lives in my community and he knows in this city there's murders that happen every single day. Sometimes children die. So he cannot be like, oh, I want to reduce crime in the city, when he's literally normalizing it in a song and making it sound cool. And you watching this, if you want to reduce crime in Philadelphia, if you're sick of 16-year-olds being shot dead and their parents crying their eyes out on TV, if you're actually against that, then no way would you make a joke out of a song that promotes violence. No way would you be like, oh, but it's a nice beat. Oh, but it's just a song. Oh, but it's this, that. No. If you actually care about violence, again, do not laugh about a song like that. He's misguided and you're just playing off the pain and the trauma of our city when you do something like that, as one example. So again, if stuff is going wrong in your city, do not contribute to it. Do not perpetuate that negative behavior. So that's what Lupe Fiasco is talking about in the song. Like, if something's gloomy, don't just be like, oh, I can't do anything about it, right? So like, look, if you're not going to do anything about it, at least don't make it worse. But ideally, do something about it. Pick up that broom, as Lupe Fiasco says, to fix the gloom in your neighborhood, so to speak. So if you have standards of conduct, pretty much, you got to stick by that. You got to have integrity no matter what and stand up strong with your convictions. I really believe that. And Lupe Fiasco also says, pills with million side effects. Take them when the pain's felt. So this is tied to, a lot of times, drug companies in the United States and the world, really, they're not really regulated. And I've seen some information on this. I'm not the expert though, but I just know there's a lot of controversy out there. So you really need to be aware of any pills or anything that you're taking. Just know the side effects, really be well informed and get sources from multiple places. So And another quote, wash them down with diet soda, killing off your brain cells. So look, this is probably the greatest advice I can give you in terms of bang for your buck ever. So the advice is this: drink a lot of water. Seriously, this was like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I forget, but I just made a decision to drink a lot of water each day, even when I wasn't thirsty. And then from that point on, I think I just was able to focus better. So there's so many children, young people, they just drink soda, and there's no coincidence that if you drink soda, you're not going to be able to focus well in school. You're not going to be physically healthy. You're not going to be able to have the right mentality for you. And this is especially concerning for children, of course, where your brain is developing at a pretty rapid rate. So look, drink more water. And I'm not saying go from 3 cans of soda a day to 1. I'm saying go to 0, right? I probably drink like 1 can of soda per year at this point. Anyway, that's my advice. Drink water. Back to the song.
Fear is such a weak emotion, that's why I despise it. We scared of almost everything, afraid to even tell the truth. So scared of what you think of me, I'm scared of even telling you. Sometimes I'm like the only person I feel safe to tell it to. I'm locked inside a cell in me, I know that there's a gel in you. Consider this shit belling out, so take a breath and hell if you. My screams is finally getting free, my thoughts is finally yelling down.
Then there's a little instrumental here too. And then Lupe Fiasco says a manifesto too. So some woman in the song is going to a bus at the end of the music video, pulls out her phone, and then Lupe Fiasco's manifesto is typed on the phone. So it's not said in the song, but it's shown on the screen. So I'm gonna read that right now for you too. So what it says was, to every man, woman, and child, we want the end of the glamorization of negativity in the media. We want an end to status symbols dictating our worth as individuals. We want a meaningful and universal educational system. We want substance in the place of popularity. We will not compromise who we are to be accepted by the crowd. We want the invisible walls that separate by wealth, race, and class to be torn down. We want to think our own thoughts. We will be responsible for our environment. We want clarity and truth from our elected officials, or they should move aside. We want love, not lies. We want an end to all wars and foreign and domestic violence. So truth, 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 all that stuff. So Lupe Fiasco really goes hard in this final segment here. One quote I love is, all the silence is worse than all the violence. So as I said earlier in the video, when people are just passive to negative things going around, that's worse than the actual negative thing. So like I said 2 videos ago, say a negative artist, that's one person. But say 20 million people that follow them, that's 20 million people, which is much more concerning. That's what we have to address too. So be aware of the negativity around you and don't be silent around it. And then he also says, fear is such a weak emotion. That's why I despise it. So I agree with that 100%. I really just hate fear. And the media particularly, they're always trying to normalize fear. They misinterpret validation and encouragement, and they encourage people to have fears. You know, like I just read yesterday, there was an attack in Atlanta. 8 people got killed. I think 6 were Asians or something. And some headline was like, Asian American women are fearful of XYZ. It's like, that, look, you're just encouraging people to be fearful when you put that stuff in the headline. Like, no, like if you talk to regular people, they're not scared of walking down the street and getting killed. They're not, right? But the media puts this in your head because they want to instill fear in you. That's one of the most twisted things that the media does, in my opinion. And this also ties to, Lupe Fiasco says, people are afraid to tell the truth, fear of being themselves, fear of other people's opinions. So again, if you have positive intentions, genuine intentions, what is the point of being fearful? I really don't understand. I really don't understand that at all. Like, we're just specks on this earth. We're all gonna die one day. So you have to look at it like that. 100 years from now, you're gonna be looking down from above, or in the song, when you're 80 years old, do you want to regret words you never said? For what? For someone else, for another human being that's just a body with a soul just like you, that bleeds just like you? I don't understand at all. For me, as long as I'm breathing, I'm safe, my kids are well taken care of and fed and all that, I will sacrifice everything for my integrity, period. No one is going to dictate my speech at all. And Lupe Fiasco says too, quote, I'm locked inside is selling me. I know that there's a jail and you consider this your bailing out. So take a breath and inhale a few. I love that. And that's one of my motivations for this channel too, is I want to encourage you to be your authentic self, to share your thoughts on whatever subject you're passionate about, through video format, through writing, or just in real life. Share your authentic thoughts for sure. And some people too, they might not like that I've referenced the term mental enslavement in some past videos. But I really firmly believe that a lot of people are mentally enslaved inside their head. They're conditioned to not think outside the box, to only think one way. Maybe they're conditioned by the media or any outside forces, people in their life, right? But you really have to break the chains of your mental enslavement. I really believe that. And in the song, Lupe Fiasco pretty much portrays this through symbolism, where he's in a jail cell. And again, he talks about he's mentally boxed in. You really got to overcome that. And again, a lot of people are noticing this. They're waking up to it. Like the trickery in the media, the trickery with some people trying to control other people's thoughts and that sort of thing. And you really have to fight that and continue to do so, right? So if you're one of those people that's like 95% free, but then maybe like 5% of your opinions out there, like, ooh, I can't say that because I'm going to offend this person, or man, it's not in alignment with the group that I'm in, whether my race, gender, whatever, the location I'm in. Like, no, like you don't have to agree with everyone who looks like you, everyone that has the same chromosomes as you, everyone who lives in the same area as you. Like, you need to agree with yourself, right? Whatever your true thoughts are, stick to them. Really, I firmly believe that. And a lot of people, they don't do this too because they don't think for themselves, and they get, to quickly go over it, they get identity and ideas mixed up too. They lose all logic. They're tricked sometimes into thinking that disempowering yourself is empowerment, right? But like, you got to really overcome all that stuff. Really have to break free from all that. And even if I don't agree with you, I still want you to speak up. Like, we can have differing ideas, right? And we can attack each other's ideas as an argument, but never attack someone's identity as an argument, right? Because that has nothing to do with ideas. Right, so I think we as America, we as the world, we really need to encourage people to just be their authentic self. Like, that's so important. Share what is on your mind, because you don't want to have regrets later on tied to words you never said or things you never did. So I really hope that this video was insightful to you. And again, I encourage you to check out the music video. It's one of the most powerful songs that I've heard in the last 15 years. Lupe Fiasco, Words I Never Said. Speak your mind. Comment down below your thoughts on the video.